Boys, this one is one to get excited about. This is Fancy versus Abram in the most feared single round elimination bracket. This is day 2. I believe this is final 16. It might be final, or no, I think it's final 32. I think the winner of this game goes to the win and get in, but a lot to learn from these two players, as we're going to have Abram in the Seattle jerseys and Fancy in the Cowboys jerseys. Fancy pretty much had the best Madden season we've ever seen last year and started off this year by making the first live event. And so these are two of the top tier players, right? Abram arguably has been one of the most consistent MCS players over the last couple of years. And he has been, basically right there really for the last, I think, since Madden 24 really was where he came out. But Madden 25, then obviously again here in Madden 26. You're just seeing the development of Abram here. It looks like Fancy's going to be doing some stuff on his depth chart. Abram not going to do anything. And the reason I picked this game to break down is because I want to showcase a couple of things Abram's doing that is relatively unique. You're not seeing a ton of people doing the same thing. Same exact thing that he's going to be doing defensively and offensively as well. He is probably going to be, I believe he's in Chargers. We'll take a look at what he's doing offensively. But he is going to be, actually, no, I don't think he is in Chargers now that I look at it a little bit closer. Because as you see here, he has bunch tight end, he has bunch wide nasty, tight doubles, but he doesn't have bunch X nasty. And really what we've seen is most people are in bunch X nasty. So we're going to see what Abram is doing on the offensive side of the ball. Take a look at what Fancy is doing on the defensive side of the ball as well here in the opening drive. Obviously a significant advantage to Fancy that Abram is getting the ball first on this possession. And just a lot to learn, right? This game is in a really interesting state, and the meta is still kind of developing post-patch. We're going to see what these guys are doing. And you're going to see that Fancy is going to be in this basic double mug defense here, where he can essentially blitz these players off the edge with his user kind of hovering in the middle and play relatively balanced with two high safeties. He's going to have to flip with Abram. Abram's going to be flipping a lot. And Abram's going to start out with the 26 duo. Now, Abram is one of the only people that I've seen in this tournament that's going to be running bunch strong offset into bunch tight end. As you see here, he audibles into bunch tight end. He's going to run a pretty standard street corner flat combination. And you see that this corner just actually dusts the man coverage defender, as you see here on the left-hand side. This is a pretty standard high-level combination. You're going to get this post and drag as a high-low read over the middle of the field. You're going to get this seam streak. You're going to get this high read, which is your corner, and then your low read or check down, which is your drag. This corner is stemmed all the way down, and so sometimes if he's not pressed in man coverage, he'll just dust the man coverage defender, which is what you're going to see here on this play. As far as Fancy goes, you're going to see he's going to send 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the opponent. He's going to drop this defensive end out, and he's actually going to D-pad switch to the safety to attempt to play Travis Hunter one-on-one. And as you see, he's trying to switch stick out of a cover zero look, and it just didn't work. And he's going to give up a big play to Abram on the first drive of the game. This is one of the big issues with so much cover zero in the meta right now. That being said, it's not like zone is that much better, but we are going to see an opening red zone possession here for Abram. And he does have that deep post play in his audibles. Probably going to go to a duo run here. I'll tell you, one of the things Abram does is he's relatively balanced on both sides of the ball, relatively balanced offensively. He's going to run the ball a little bit. He's got the RPO bubble in here as well. And something really cool that you might have seen that he just did here. So let's take a look here. You're going to see that Abram is going to audible to this RPO. So you see here the RPO alert bubble. Abram is going to audible to the RPO. And then immediately you see the audible here. He's going to immediately put this guy on a flat route upon audibly. Okay, you can't put this guy on a flat route when he's set, but because of the audible glitches in this game, he's able to get this guy on a flat. And what you're going to see is that flat route is going to run a little better against man coverage, and you still have the zone blocking. If they run zone, you see Fancy runs man, and the RPO bubble is able to get into the end zone. One of the other things I wanted to talk about real quick is I will leave links to both Fancy and Abram's Twitches down in the description below. Shout out to Abram for streaming this game. And if you want to check out my version of any of the schemes that you see, they're going to be in our school community, school.com/Cody Ballard. It's only $10 to be a member. It gets you access to all of our offensive, defensive schemes for both Madden and for college football. This double mug, this bunch strong, all this stuff is going to be broken down into our school community. So if you're not a member yet, that link is going to be in the description below if you want to check that out. Now we're going to take a look at Fancy on his first possession here. Now Fancy comes into this ball game, as I said, best Madden season we've ever seen last year. But the meta honestly doesn't really fit him. It's not a zone meta. It's really more of a man meta. And the meta actually fits Abram a lot because he likes to play man coverage out of double mug. He's actually going to be doing that here. Now, Abram is in his some of his lab partners, David T and Vose, in this tournament. You saw them running 3-3 Cub, a little bit of 3-3 odd. But for Abram here, you're going to see him primarily in this 3-3 double mug. Now, last year, Abram was in 3-3 odd a ton, and that's where we saw like the David T blitz that really shocked the world in Madden Bowl. But we're going to see Abram here in basically just pressed double mug. I'm going to start out the game in this kind of press double mug. Abram loves cover two man. He really, over the last couple of years, he loves to adjust out of this cover two man. He's going to get a good press animations out of this. On the left-hand side here, he's going to play cover two. And then the other thing here is Fancy is going to be in this Y off trio close formation. Fancy loves this formation. And what's really interesting is he's one of the only people that really stayed in that Y off trio close. This Y off trio close did get kind of a little bit worse after the patch. A lot of people shifted to just basic Bunch X Nasty. Here you're going to see Fancy's going to go Y off trio close into Bunch X Nasty, but it's noteworthy that Y off trio close is kind of his mainstay offense. One other thing I forgot to mention, as you're going to see these guys go crazy for Abram with the sheds, he's going to send 3. Take a look. He gets an instant win with high, and he's going to get this pressure, and it just kind of forces the pocket. The biggest thing here with this is if you want to get better sheds, the stack that you need to be using is double or nothing, El Toro, and either instant rebate or buy one, get one. That little stack right there is going to get you the best sheds you possibly can get. Here you're going to see Abram setting up that nickel 3-3 Cub, which the nickel 3-3 Cub, it does look like he's going to stay in this mid blitz, but he's also kind of basing out of a cover 0. So as you see here, Abram basing out of this cover 0, it's going to allow like these audibles and things. His man coverage defenders are simply going to follow across the field. And here you see that Abram's going to give a spread linebacker look, but effectively he basically is playing cover 2 man to the left with the hard flat. The purpose of this flat is for the running back slide or a tight end drag, either one of those. And then on the back end of this, he is just going to have a curl flat and a deep half. Another thing I want you to notice is that Abram is really only sending 3 people. As you see here, he sends 3, and he's basically relying on those abilities to consistently get him better sheds throughout this game. This is a tactic that we saw multiple people employ that led them to the live event, basically. And Abram is kind of doing basically the same thing within his version of the double mug. And as you see here, he's continuing to set up this 3-3 Cub. It looks like he wants to get into this 3-3 Cub, and he is going to get into this 3-3 Cub. So one of the things I wanted to point out about 3-3 Cub is you're going to see that his user is going to hover in either A gap, basically. And then essentially what's going to happen is it's going to get this quick pressure off of the edge. So you're going to send 1, 2, 3, and then potentially you could get a contain from this guy right here. You could get a send 5, but normally what you're going to get is you're going to get a contain here. You might get a user blitz like this. And what happens with this user blitz is you'll typically drop this guy into like a hook, and you're going to D-pad switch over here so that if they untarget your user, then you're going to get immediate A-gap pressure. There's a little bit of a back and forth and somewhat of a chess match to, are you just hovering with your user, or are you actually blitzing him? Are you sitting 4? Are you sitting 5? Do you have a contain on the backside? Some of those are questions, but that's kind of the gist of the scheme. Here you see that Abram is just going to basically coverage out. And as you see here, Fancy's able to roll out because there's no contain on the field. Fancy is able to roll out on that play. All right, so that's going to bring up a first down and 10 for Fancy in the red zone. Ball on about the 19-yard line. We'll see what he ends up going to here. Notice that he is consistently going with this kind of like audible or flip kind of standard, and is going to stay in this WAV trio close. One of the big things here is he's actually going to hot route the running back to a swing route to the right side of the field. He's going to run a slant, a return, and then he's going to have a streak and a backside in route. Really, this has been one of the mainstay combos of the year. Let me actually go through it real quick one more time. So one of the things you're going to see Fancy do here is, as we just look at this combination here, you're going to get a swing route You're going to get a slant or a drag route, either way. You're going to get a streak as a clear out. You're going to get a return route underneath. And then you're going to get a deep in route over the top. So effectively, this is kind of like a shallow cross type of concept. So as you see here, that slant route's coming open, but Abram is switching that with Ramsey, so you can't really throw that route. But then eyes are going to progress from there to your high read, which is your in route over the middle. As you see, he's getting open over the middle of the field, but he gets a throw out of sack, and he's not able to get the ball where he wants to get it to. So it's going to bring up a second down and 10, but that smash return combo is really, so far from what I've seen, one of the most popular combos in this entire game. And you're going to basically see him go back to a similar variation of that, and he's going to just playmaker that return route up and get into the end zone here. This is actually a really cool little play. But effectively, what combination you're going to get is you're going to get this slot fade on the short side. You're going to get a drag underneath. You're going to get a stem down post now. And then on this backside, you're still going to have that return, and you're going to have a little running back table. So you can throw the ball into this little pocket, all the way across in the hard flat area of the field. All of these are options. Again, notice that Abram is doing a lot of bluffing of the blitz. He's not really blitzing a lot. He's kind of like showing pressure, but really just saying coverage. And you're going to see here, he is going to play coverage again. Notice he switches off of the man-to-man defender onto this. Once he sees that tight end cross the field on the drag, he knows that he's going to lurk this post. It's really good defense from Abram, honestly. If you take a look here, the drag's covered, the slot fade's covered, the table route's covered. He's using the post. But this route right here, where Abram actually switches onto the yellow zone to play it, Fancy does a good job of playmakering this guy into the open space, and he's going to be able to get into the end zone on his first possession. And so they basically trade touchdowns on the first possession. Now, if you look at Madden in general, that is pretty standard in a competitive Madden game, a competitive Madden setting. Obviously, these players, right, they know the ins and outs of this game. They know every route combo you can realistically run from bunch, from wild trio, from all of those. They know the defenses, all those. What they're really trying to do is essentially establish tendencies. What are you going to on those key situations that I could maybe set up a specific defense to try to stop? So good drive by Abram, opening drive, good drive by Fancy. And now we're going to see Abram come back out in that bunch strong offset. Notice another just very common tactic here. He's coming out short side. He's going to audible to wide side. He has conductor on his quarterback, so he's going to get those faster hot routes. And there's going to be a 26 duo run to Saquon Barkley. What's nice about Bunch Strong is you do have that duo run. It's just a great run to be able to have. Here's that RPO. Notice what he's going to do again. You see how he's putting that flat right there, and he's doing that before the receiver's set. So I want you to watch this actual progression. So you see he's no huddle. He audibles to this, and he immediately is putting him on a flat. The second he can put him on a flat. Before he's set, now he has this little glitchy flat, and you see how this is a wide open route to be able to hit. This is one of the big things in this scheme that he's using, is he's using that flat route consistently because it makes that RPO significantly better. And it also combines perfectly with the flipping of the bunch, because you might mistake it for he's just flipping his bunch strong, when in reality, he goes to bunch tight end. This is a staple combo. If you are a bunch strong player or even a wild trio close player, this combo is for you. So what it basically is here is he is going to streak this slot receiver. So this is like a clear out route. He's going to post the tight end and stem him all the way down. He already has a clear out streak here, and then he has a drag underneath. So essentially you have a clear out. I call those peak routes. You're just looking to see if they're open. If they're not, you're going to work your eyes down to your high read, which is this post, and your low read, which is this drag. And then if they try to switch stick you from one of their deep zones, you have two clear out streaks that you can hit for touchdowns. And then the last element of this is this little running back streak route that's going to get into, really can be thrown anywhere. I call this the outlet or alternate receiver, because he's not really in the concept. He's kind of a backside read, and that's exactly what you're going to see here. So as you see this play out, let me actually back that up. You see Fancy switch sticks here to the deep defender. He notices that's a streak, so he switch sticks back to this yellow. He's going to then carry this route right here. So as you see, he's carrying that route. So if I'm Abram, I'm seeing, well, his user's putting a lot of energy over here. So his eyes go backside and he's able to just hit that little running back streak in that soft spot of the defense. It's a great zone beating play. If you're a Y off trio close player, a bunch strong offset player, that is a play, in my opinion, that you need to have in your playbook. It is a very, very high level play. Now, Abram goes to short side bunch. This might just be to run the ball, and it is to run the ball. One of the big things in the schemes this year is there's a big emphasis in the meta this year on flipping your formation consistently, audibling consistently. Every now and then, you want to snap a short side play for a couple reasons. Number one, generally speaking, run plays get a little bit better blocking on the short side of the field. And then number two, it's kind of a tendency breaker. They set up wide side defense. You go to short side and run something from short side. Here you see him again going to short side. Now he's going to audible out into another formation. And actually, no, it looks like he's just going to call a play here on the short side. And that play was kind of crazy. That honestly wasn't, to me, one of Abram's core plays. He was able to complete that crosser, but that was, didn't look very super comfortable. There again, you see the same strategy. Take a look at what he does. He's going to go from bunch tight end. He's going to go from bunch strong offset, and he's going to go all the way down into this single back bunch tight end, and this is going to be a stretch alert bubble. But notice he is going to flat this wide receiver on the left. All right, so I looked it up, and it looks like Abram is actually in the Raiders playbook. Really haven't seen a whole lot of people running this playbook, but it does have that bunch strong and has that bunch tight end, and then it has this single back bunch tight end stretch. This is a really, really good play down here in the red zone because you have the threat of this bubble, and then you also have one of the best runs in the game, which is this stretch to the front side of the formation. So anyway, we'll just take a look and see how this ends up going for him. But generally speaking, you see here, this flat, it beats, you can't man it up. That's the big thing is what we're noticing is you can't really man that up because right there, it appears like he's manned up, but he's getting chipped from the blocker. And that is basically the second time we've seen a red zone situation where Abram has pulled out an absolute money play down here in the red area. All right, so really, I mean, both games so far has just been super offensive. They've been able to kind of do whatever they want. And hasn't been a whole lot of defense really on either side of the ball here in the opening quarter of the ball game. That being said, now we're starting to go into a little bit of that end of half scenario. Already starting to think about that. If you're in fancy shoes, you do get the ball at halftime. So if you're fancy, what you would ideally do is simply just go down here and score and give Abram enough time to either get stopped or score and give you the ball back one more time. So if I'm fancy here, I'm trying to kind of score a little bit quicker so that I can give myself a better chance to be able to get the ball back before half, to use that as a way in which I'm able to get a stop. Again, noticing here, Abram running, really just this press double mug has kind of been the main area that we saw there. There's a Texas 4-man, crazy stunt, and it does the job to be able to get the pressure on the quarterback. Y off trio close or fancy is kind of sticking with that philosophy here. And let's see, Abram's still going to stay in that double mug. See if he's doing some substitutions there. But essentially, Dave, you notice that Abram's not really flipping his play. He just lets that slot corner essentially be manned up. And again, the other thing here, Abram's only sending 3, and he actually contained this time. He contained these 2, so the only guy that can shed is him. And so you see, Fancy just has all day, but it's relatively uncomfortable. He's not able to just sit there and get, the time that I think he ultimately should be getting, given the fact that Abram is really not blitzing a whole lot. Now, Fancy here going to audible in doubles flex. This was kind of the offense he ran last year. He ran normal off close. He's able to pop this. Here's the big thing. He noticed that Abram is playing a lot of cover 2 man, and to a degree, a lot of cover 2. So you see here, Abram plays cover 2 to the left side. His linebacker has the deep middle responsibility, but he basically just avoids that. And you see corner route, drag route, and then this little wheel, and then this little crosser that kind of pops that cover 2 and basically just does a really nice job of splitting the safeties, and he's able to pop it with Amari Cooper, and he's going to be able to get out of there and score a touchdown. You see, everyone take a look at the play and just kind of take a look at his deep halves. But ultimately, I mean, this is 100% on the user. He's just not in a good position, and yeah, Fancy was able to pop a cover two. Really, really simple. No deep middle third, and Abram's user was not able to get back there. So now that's kind of ideal for Fancy, to be honest, because when Abrams scores here, assuming Fancy is to give up another one play score, because like if you're Abram, you're now trying to score super fast here as well. Kind of same scenario. But these are how like these end of game, end of half scenarios are so significant, especially given who gets the ball. So you should see Abram passing pretty much every single play here. He's going to start out with this RPO flat, kind of get the drive going. But Fancy's really had no answer for this. I mean, this has just consistently been wide open. I feel like it was even open there. That time Abram goes ahead, hands it off to Saquon, and gets really an amazing run. Just an amazing run from Saquon Barkley there to get a first down. Let's see what he ends up doing here. Another thing you're noticing Fancy do is he's standing more over the center. So his guy normally would line up like right here. He's actually intentionally moving him a little bit over the center in this case, and maybe like threaten some pressure off that left side. And then we'll see what happens with the on target feature. But you're going to see here, Abram sends or just blocks his running back. And, you know, when you block a running back in this game, pretty much every single blitz is going to be dead. That's going to bring us probably to the end of the first quarter. We'll see if Abram snaps it. But that's going to bring us to the end of the first quarter. So now you see here, second quarter, 5 minutes. Abram's going to go 2nd and 1. He's actually going to audible down into that single back bunch tight end look, I think. No, he's just going to run duo. So he just goes to duo, gets his first down. And it looks like Abram is playing relatively standard offense. He's not necessarily playing like a hurried pace, but he's also not really trying to clock you out either with a slow pace. It's kind of just that standard offense. And almost throws an interception here. If we take a look at this combination, again, he goes back to that same combo that he ran on the first play. The only difference is now he has a running back table, drag. He's got a high read. He's got a low read here. He has a clear out, and then he has a high read here and a low read on the backside here. So what you see is Fancy users this. Abram is going to throw this. And as you see, Fancy lurks that he's right there, but Abram actually gets kind of an inaccurate pass. This guy obviously open for a touchdown here, but you see kind of an inaccurate pass, and Fancy's not able to get the interception. Made a good defensive play. And this is why I think, Fancy's so much better in his zone defense than using that cover zero techniques. Cover zero just does not really fit how he, it honestly just doesn't fit switch stick in general. There's a reason why most people that run cover zero out of a switch stick based defense, they're going to give up big plays. All right, so you see here, 1st and 10, 4 minutes left in the half, and Abram is seemingly trying to now clock, which is kind of interesting. I would say this is kind of like no man's land. It's kind of difficult to clock this out, which is why you see you go back to the normal clock here. But I will say, like, if he took this all the way down, I'm kind of surprised he doesn't take it all the way down. He ends up running the ball, and he's just going to break a run. And he's going to be able to get himself a big play and get into the end zone. And now he's going to be up 7. And now you're going to see Fancy have the ball with the opportunity probably to go ahead and clock this half out and try to go into halftime either tied or down 4. But the big key here is to try to make sure that Abram does not get the ball at halftime. And honestly, both offenses have really just kind of walked up and down the field on one another. And again, this is why I think man coverage based meta is just too easy to break down. Fancy gets an inaccurate on his first play of the drive. Go wide trail close. You're seeing Abram kind of just stay in this mid blitz. Really interesting because there's not like a crazy blitz threat from this. There's one. He sends 6. He sends 6, gets 1 free, by the way. So he's sending 6 people, but he only gets 1 free. And take a look at this. He has a 3rd and an inside quarter, and Fancy just throws a streak right into a soft spot, and he's going to be able to break that for 7. And to be honest, this actually works out a little bit better for Abram as he is now in a good position to be able to clock this guy out. to be able to clock Fancy out. I mean, you see there just like defense out of position, over adjusting, like just too easy for Fancy to be able to just throw a seam streak and score a touchdown. And this is what you kind of see sometimes in these games. It kind of, they all take their own little nature, and this one is taking the nature of whoever has the ball last is going to win this ball game. And also, you're seeing, I think, the weakness of trying to adjust a defense from a cover zero. When you're trying to adjust out of a cover zero, you make one or two mistakes, or they just get a good rat catch animation, and it feels like you're just toast defensively. So, anyways, we're going to see here what Fancy's doing because they're kind of running the same basic idea, same basic defense. And you're going to see here's a duo run from Saquad. And the other reason why I'm curious as to why he's no huddling every way, and there's some nice pressure from Fancy. Got a Texas 4-man to come in. Now, what's nice about these Texas 4-man is that now there's faster defensive linemen. And so because of that, and because they reduce the scramble, you see quarterback not able to get away from the pressure. That's a huge sack in this game. And now Fancy's going to be given a really good opportunity. It's a great opportunity for Fancy to get a stop. You're going to see his best stuff defensively. Abram really loves just the street corner post drag combination. That seems to be one of his bread and butter plays that he's going to be going to consistently in this game. But 3rd and 19 is no joke. This is a big down. Obviously, you either need to give yourself a 4th and manageable or try to convert it. He's going to go back to that same combo here. And yeah, Fancy decided that he would. It's a really interesting defense Fancy just played. So if you take a look here, what's really interesting, this might be why this play is so good. So one of the most popular coverages in the game is this right here. So as you see, you're going to get like a cloud flat here that's going to do a decent job of taking away the corner. You're going to get a third or a deep half, either way, kind of playing this deep area of the field. And then what appears to me is a middle third in the middle, and then like a cover 3 cloud basically on the side. However, what happens here is that this third actually kind of like randomly covers this route, and this is just basically just a beam over the top. I personally think it has something to do with the alignment pre-snap and the way that zones just don't get to their spot in this game. But that's a really significant. That's just a really, really significant dot from Abram in that situation. Here he's going to audible over to bunch tight end, put that RPO, put that little flat out there, and there you see. And Fancy, unfortunately, here again, this is the second drop pick. So as you see, he switch sticks it to the flat defender. He actually lurks it really well. I'm sure that Abram is super surprised that he doesn't get blocked, even though he switch sticked it. Abram's probably labbed that throw 100 times. It's why he ultimately clips it here, because he's probably saying, like, how did he actually play the route? I've tested this, and I know that, I'm going to be able to throw that bubble screen. I'm going to be able to throw that bubble screen even against a hard flat. So obviously a hard flat being one of the standard adjustments you would make. So as you see, Abram immediately goes right back to it. And this time he gets blocked. Fancy can't switch stick off. He actually did get onto this guy, but you see the block in there, good blocking. And that is going to pop this time. So kind of crazy how one play it was a pick, really. And then the next play, it was a big play and first down. And it just kind of highlights, how hash marks and positioning of the defense, all those are little variables in this game. All right, Abram. So this is what I was talking about, like kind of looking a little indecisive. He ends up just going down to the run here, but looked a little indecisive there. But now you see 2-minute warning. Fancy still has 2 timeouts, so you're not going to really be able to clock this. Now you're just kind of getting that touchdown secured, hopefully. And so he's just going to go ahead and throw the ball. It's really interesting because he doesn't take this all the way down to the 2. He runs a play there, and I would just think maybe I don't know why he would do that. Why would you not take that down to the 2-minute? Why would you not come out and run a play? Could it just be he was just trying to catch Fancy off guard, right? And then try to get the touchdown secured, because it is obviously very difficult to score here. He's going to go back to that single back bunch tight end. It looks like he gets a little better blocking on this. As you see, yeah, that's completely wide open. It's a lot better blocking. And yeah, this is a crazy good bubble screen that Abram is showing here. All right, live show close for Fancy though. 1 minute 55 seconds. Fancy does have plenty of time to be able to go down and score. Right here, this is pretty standard. It's actually probably good for Fancy because he does get ball out of half, and then out of nowhere, Abram is able to pick him off here. So take a look at the defense here and take a look at the combo, kind of see what ends up going down on this play. One of Fancy's favorite plays. Fancy's one of those guys that he's very systematic. He's going to run, a couple of really key plays. So as you see here, for this one, he ends up running. Let me actually back this up one more time here, and I'll show you the actual play that Fancy decides to run. He's ran this play before, had success with this play before, but basically you're going to get a slot fade, you're going to get a drag, you're going to get a crosser or stem down post, you're going to get a table, and you're going to get a return route. So you have a clear out, you have a high read, a low read, and then you have an alternate read right here. So as you see here, low read gets covered. He switch sticks the high read right there, but he falls off of it pretty significantly. But he goes to here, and this is a crazy deal. I don't know how Johnson, let's take a look at what Johnson is doing here. I have no idea what happened to Johnson, but Johnson just I don't know, he engages and then he just kind of stays there. And that's actually crazy because I think Fancy just thought he was blitzing, so that's why he throws this. By the way, look at the running back just saying please. But for whatever reason, it's kind of a crazy play. He doesn't even really switch on to the player. It's just a matter of Fancy probably thought he was a blitzer, but he actually drops off of the blitzer in his own coverage. Hence, Abram taking a look at it post play. You see how he kind of drops back and he just kind of baits him. Really crazy play by Abram defensively. So that's going to give Abram a significant advantage. Obviously, Fancy still gets the ball at half, but that was the first stop of the game in a game that is really offensive. We'll see what Abram ends up doing, but to me, you can't give the ball back to Fancy with any amount of time here. This needs to be kind of a key clock situation, and there you see Fancy finally able to stop the bubble screen. I think he went to a cover 2 on that play. And we'll see what ends up happening here. Abram is fairly straightforward in his plays too. These aren't crazy plays. If you guys don't know, if you play on pass lead increase small and you have a streak, what you do is you basically pass lead the streak horizontally. So you're going to pass lead this to the outside. And if you get perfect accuracy, which Abram kind of gets perfect accuracy, but just gets a little too much bend on it, that can actually easily beat cover 0 in this game. So it's one of the other reasons why I just don't see a lot of value in cover 0 as a defensive strategy consistently. It just doesn't win at the highest level. But we'll see what he goes to here. He goes to cheat flat X post out of normal Y off close. He goes to the play that Fancy ran over and over again in Madden Bowl. And this play is still really good, in my opinion. I'm surprised that we haven't seen more people in it because this year you have the ability to put a tight end on a super wheel like this out of double post. So you have the wheel, you have a streak, you have a short post that gets good separation against man, and then you have a stock return route. So as you see here, right, running back just gets wide open early on in this play. And Abram's able to deliver. To be honest, Fancy, somebody that had an amazing defense, really the main reason why Fancy was so successful last year was his defense. He can't stop a nosebleed right now in terms of his switch stick, which is kind of crazy. But, I mean, it just seems like he is a step behind consistently. Now, that being said, he did drop the bubble screen pick, and then he did get the overthrow on the post route. But, yeah, just kind of crazy how almost effortless these are. I mean, this is basically a bubble screen and a couple bunch strong combos. You'll see here on the left side. And it does look like Fancy saying, okay, my answer to that bubble screen is I'm going to start cover 2ing that bunch side out of the bunch tight end formation. And, so far that's been able to kind of hold that bubble screen down. Here's a nice little bunch strong combo. It's a streak. It's a post. Got a little drag, flat route, and then a seam wheel. Going to get into a nice spot on the field here. So as you see, you have your streak, you have your high read right here, you have your low read right here, and then you have your alternate read, which is going to be about right in that area. So you see here, Fancy's users over in this area here, rolls out, and now you see got him out of position. This post going to run right across. Should be a corner pocket throw. Fancy switch sticks it, but not able to get there in time. Honestly, Abram makes a really good throw there. I think he probably high pointed that as well so that it didn't get intercepted. And he was able to get a touchdown. It's a big 7 in this game. It's literally 35-21 in the first half. And the fact is, Fancy still has an opportunity to go down and get points before half. Like, this is arguably, I mean, it's crazy how the game gets more offensive pretty much every single year in different ways and for different reasons. In this year's game, just so many advantages, honestly, to the offensive side of the ball. Just starting with its ability to flip every single play, and that's been an issue for years in this game, but especially this year. This is one of the best years for flipping your play every single time because you just get better hot routes. It really makes the defense out of position often as well. There's a little crazy route. I think that was a backside return route to Amari Cooper over the middle of the field. Now, Fancy's going to have to kind of move here if he's going to get points. He's going to have to get the ball down the field quickly. So you're going to see Abram. Abram's kind of played very, very vanilla. I mean, just very like basic defenses. But there you see Fancy hitting the corner route. He's going to be able to get out of bounds there. And that's going to bring up a first down and 10 on the 45. Going to flip into that wide side. Wild trio close. You see there's basically 2 men under with 2 purples. And now he's going to man that running back up on the right side, I would think. That's a crazy seam streak beam to Ingram, and he's going to get 7 out of that. That's a nice read. So, yeah, I mean, again, like, this is Abram's thing, is like he's going to play cover 2, and he's going to kind of adjust out of it. But you see here, I mean, there's just nothing. Now, what's crazy is he switch sticks it, and then he tried to, like, bait back here. And Fancy just, like, trust throws this seam streak up the middle, throws it on time, and he's able to deliver a touchdown. Now, what's even crazier about this, you see here, Abram going to clip it. I think what he's looking at is the slot fade, but essentially, you see, look at where he throws that ball, But what's crazy is you have 25 seconds, and there's 3 timeouts left, so Abram could totally do something here, even if it's just get 3. And it's honestly a big drive. Because Fancy gets the ball out of half, you would like to get up 2 possessions here, if possible, before half. And so that's what I believe Abram's going to be trying to do. Going to be trying to get a field goal. And then, if he's extremely blessed, he's going to get that touchdown on this drive. So we'll see what he ends up doing. But it's crazy how simple this offense is from what we're seeing here. This isn't, like I said, this is Raiders book, pretty much running that RPO bubble or that stretch or fairly standard plays that you could hot route from the passing perspective. So you see there again, there's post corner with the drag, and he's going to take that drag underneath, but he's going to miss the read. That's what I'm talking about good patience from Abram, though. As you see here, Fancy pretty much goes like basic cover 4, but Fancy also doesn't have a flat. And so what you see here is, this guy just running wide open underneath could turn up. But the issue is I feel like Abram kind of looked downfield almost too much. And by the time he got back to the drag, he's getting that pressure, and that shed is going to be able to get some pressure up on the quarterback. It's going to bring up a second down and 10 from the 24-yard line here. Another flip from Abram, same exact combination. He loves this combination here. And you see, right, drag running wide open underneath. Probably going to playmaker the drag into a weird spot. The one thing with Abram, too, is he can use the whole field. But the problem is by really messing up, honestly, on at least the first down play, he's now put himself kind of behind the sticks. There's a sack. And now he's, 4th and 22. Now, he should just take this to half. We'll see if he ends up doing that. But Fancy doesn't have the ability to stop the clock. So Abram not even going to come out and play. He's just going to get straight to the second half, up a touchdown, but Fancy getting the ball. So, kind of, again, just shows the really big importance for being able to get that ball out of out of the second half is so important. So if you win the coin toss, you pretty much always want to kick when you're playing Madden. Here he's going to man up that tight end, kind of switch stick around a little bit. But I mean, honestly, this has been relatively easy offense for Fantasy. The one fluky pick that he got where that zone player kind of like he crashed him in the line and then the zone player like got out, and I don't think Fancy was expecting that. That's a crazy play, a little crazy. And it's what you saw, I mean, from Abram a lot this game. It's just this basic sin four, and it's nothing. I mean, it's literally like I guess he engaged with the guard, but I mean, yeah, I mean, he just got pressure at the end of the day. He's always showing that he can send 5 or 6, but I think so far he's only sent 5 or 6, like maybe 2 times in the entire first half. So kind of an interesting, way. Here he's going to get into 3-3 cub, probably showing a little bit of pressure here, but he's going to audible. And you're going to see he's going to have to flip, set up his whole defense. He's going to get back in that double mug, just kind of stay adjusting out of this cover 0. And on the left side, good read from Fancy there. And that's going to bring up a first down and 10 from the 42-yard line. So again, here you see now a little tendency breaker. He's been showing coverage, been showing coverage. And then now he's going to go to a blitz. But as you see here, this is why I don't like adjusting on a cover 0, because he audibled to Tampa 2, and now his nickel corner's over here. Maybe he wants that, but it doesn't look right, and he's just going to go to a basic coverage, cover 3 on one side, cover 2 on the other side, trying to stop the bubble. But that was about the freest inside zone I've ever seen, as Jonathan Taylor just literally was handed, I think, 20 yards on a silver platter. Let's see here. Audibles into trips. Going to do the spread linebackers. But see, now he stays in the man coverage, so he gets more help on the trip side. Obviously, it makes the tight end more of a threat here, but Texas 4-man stunt with a little middle third and a user on a curl flat. And Fancy just going to hit a streak. That's the problem with shading down every play. It's the problem with man coverage. It's the problem with defense in general. As you see, I don't know what happens, but basically he just beats man coverage. At least the other guy did. And you saw that middle third just not able to get over there. You see, we're going to take a little peek sees at the replay, but ultimately it just comes down to the man coverage did a man cover. And when the man coverage doesn't man cover, it's really, really hard for the defense to defend. And it leads to pretty much a free touchdown for Fancy. That might have been the freest drive out of half ever in terms of just giving up an easy inside zone and then giving up a streak over the top when you're playing man coverage with a deep zone there to help you, and that deep zone didn't really help you. So we'll see what Fancy's doing defensively here. Obviously, Fancy's going to need one more stop in this game. You see him kind of like trying to set this up, this hover, and going to just be a basic 26 duo for Saquon. And I mean, really, like I said, I think offense has been really pretty straightforward for both these guys. I don't know that this double mug is that good of a defense, but I will be honest and say I don't know that really any defense in Madden 26 right now is that great. There are some ways to get pressure, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a great defense. Also, notice a lot of these guys are going towards empty protection. At least in general, there are some blitzes that are much better to block if you are in base protection. But it seems like against double mug, against 6-1 cub, all these, you're getting that empty protection. Here he's going to go to a formation really haven't seen yet and really just kind of run a basic play. I call that Y cross, really nothing open. Fancy was able to just kind of bag up in man coverage, and that's going to bring up a third down and 10. Going to audible into the wing trio. And as you can see here, kind of just some weird things from this formation. But it's honestly, it almost seems like it's like Abram's version of Y off trio close. It's not the exact same alignment, but it's kind of a similar alignment. And now Abram's going to find himself on a fourth down. And here's my thing: like he's been easily just peppering and moving up and down the field with relatively ease. And now he's going to find himself on a fourth down. Now notice Fancy is going to jump into the nickel wide here for this fourth down. He's going to be sending this 4-man blitz, maybe 5, and then he will probably send his user as well to be able to get some pressure on the quarterback. So we'll see what Abram ends up doing, but he's going to go kind of with that straightforward combination, right? Looking for the seam wheel or backside drag. Biggest down of the game so far. And you're going to see here that Fancy was showing pressure, but he ends up coveraging out. As you can see, good defense on the wheel, good defense on the fade. And Abram is going to throw that slot fade with that small pass lead, inside leverage. And that, if you needed another reason why Cody does not base out of cover 0, that is exactly it right there. He basically played perfect defense, as you see, tight end bag, comeback bagged, slot fade bagged, wheel route bagged, but a simple streak one-on-one. You cannot play one-on-one. You cannot play streaks one-on-one in man coverage. And it just does not, the man coverage does not man cover. And now you've got a 42 points midway through the third quarter. Huge touchdown for Abram, huge play in the game. And, really, again, it just kind of goes to show why cover 0 is just a terrible strategy, in my opinion. You just have consistently seen it get beat again and again and again. Now, I will say, sometimes in that situation, you could get an inaccurate. The ball would not even be able to be catchable. So there is that side of it as well. But Abram going to stay in this. And he's going to run that cover 2 man. And this time he's going to get some pressure. So as you see, this is one of the reasons why Abram was spread D line with these mugged linebackers. It depends a little bit on what Fancy's doing from a protection perspective. But what happens sometimes, as you see here, is this defensive end just comes in completely free, right? Just completely free at the quarterback. And he's going to get basically a free sack. Really hasn't had to do a whole lot. Just simply sending 4, and he's gotten a couple sacks in this ball game. Really has not blitzed a ton. I think, like I said, maybe 3-4 times this entire game. And we are starting to go down the stretch of the end game, which I'll talk about that in just a minute. There's a Texas 4-man, good pressure from that. And honestly, Abram's getting really good pressure, just sending the basic 4 and then sending the Texas 4-man. Brings up a 3rd and 16 with 2 minutes left in this half, or in this quarter. You're going to see that Fancy pretty much has to score 7 here. I think it's really significant if he doesn't. Abram going to go to a 7-5 cover 4, almost switch sticks that fade, and now he's on a 4th and 16. And this is the biggest play of the game. If Fancy doesn't get this, Abram is going to be in prime scoring position, and Fancy's not really been able to stop Abram in the red zone. He's pretty much had a very, very good red zone game this game, which is interesting because last year in some of the tournaments, one of the biggest weaknesses for Abram was that red zone. This year, obviously, seems like he has a really good strategy for the red zone. But on this 4th and 16 situation, you're going to see a left. No, he's just going to go straight up left Texas 4-man stunt. Try to get Fancy. One of the things about empty protection is if you're going with empty protection, you've got to worry a little bit about the slot pressure here. But in general, this is just cover 4 stemmed up. And going to go kind of similar combination here. And Abram is going to pick that. And that might even be for 6. Not able to get out of there. But that's going to be a set. That's going to be a sack. So if you take a look here at the actual route combination that Fancy does, he motions his running back out on a wheel. So you've got like a streak, and then you have like a wheel typically. We'll take a look at what he actually calls here. But you see streak, and then you see wheel. So what the streak does is it pulls this deep zone to him. But on the last play, Abram switched on to this player and almost lurked the wheel. So Fancy's a little gun shy, and he does not throw this receiver because of what Abram did switch stick wise. That being said, Abram switching over to this side of the field. And so it's honestly just a miss by Fancy, in my opinion. And then he goes slot fade, deep corner, and then a stemmed up curl. But because of that, hook curl plays it perfectly. And Abram is able to get his second stop of the ball game. So first down and 10. Abram obviously with an opportunity to be able to just like cut the throat right. If he's able to get 7 here, this is going to put Fancy in a really difficult spot. Fancy kind of needs to hold the 3, in my opinion. Here, if he's going to give up 7, giving up 7 really puts him in a bad spot. So this is where Abram, it's a key possession here, because if Abram only gets 3, then Fancy is definitely in position to be able to get back in this ball game. However, if Abram is able to get 7, he really is able to kind of put a big gap in between this game. There you see he goes to his glitchy RPO play. Fancy goes offside, and Abram's going to get basically a free play out of it. Going to go to bunch strong. Going to go to dagger again. He has called this play at least 7, 8 times this game. This is a money play. If you're a bunch player, it's all hot routes too. You can add it to your offense. And Fancy can't guard it in man coverage. That man coverage has not guarded that corner route. That's a 3rd or 4th time we've seen that corner route get open that much on that man coverage. And Abram is just able to beat the man coverage. And you see Fancy in a pretty big hole here. Down 14, about 6 minutes, just under 6 minutes left in the ball game. Fancy's going to have to pick up the pace a little bit. He's going to have to score quickly, and then he's going to have to get a stop. And one of the things that we've seen in this game play out is, this cover 0 stuff has just not been really a good strategy for either one. There's just too many holes in the cover 0 for it to be effective. I mean, this game has been an absolute shootout. It does also show that Y off trio close, very much so, is still a very, very good and top level offense. It also shows that bunch strong offset, right, is still a very, very good and top level offense. And really, you see right now, bunch X nasty, Y off trio close, and bunch strong offset are kind of the clear cut. Maybe U trips, Y off trips close. Those all have a lot of answers to the current defensive meta. Obviously, most offenses in this game are effective, but you see those 4 to 5 offensive formations consistently winning at the highest level. Here you can see Y off trio close, going back to that kind of smash return. He's got that unique crosser. He's going to throw a crazy throw on that playmaker. That's what I'm talking about. This is just, kind of just, I don't know. I mean, you see here, the user is clearly using this, yeah, just misses it. Trying to make a play too, trying to fit it in a tight window. Caleb Williams ends up kind of making a bad throw, and you see Abram, going to kind of like clip that for future viewing privileges, I guess. But it's going to bring up a 2nd down and 10. And this 2-man under with 2 purples has kind of been the main strategy for Abram. You see him getting really good pass rush. That defensive tackle. That time, Fancy doesn't miss that drag. Able to hit that, and then CeeDee Lamb moves the ball upfield to about the 48. Now, for Fancy, kind of important, you do snap this ball before the end of the quarter, so you see he's going to stay short side just so that he could get another play. He's able to hit that tight end. Actually ends up working out great for him because he's able to hit the tight end, able to get on a hash, and that's going to put him into another red zone opportunity. As you see here, though, Abram has been in mid blitz pretty much the entirety of this game. Every now and then, a couple situations, he's gone to Cub. But then again, it's going to be this, it's going to be this man coverage. Now, right here, Abram going to send quick pressure and tried to D-pad switch onto the flat, but just out of position. And it's another issue to me. I didn't feel like, I know Abram did get some stops, but I honestly didn't feel like the defense was that crazy. I feel like Fancy offensively kind of made some, just a couple of timely missed reads or anticipating a certain switch and not being able to play, in general. So, anywho, well, Texas 4-man, that Texas 4-man is Texas 4-manning, and that was almost another interception. Abram going to show it again to us. The hook curl did not hook curl. He's got a hook curl right there. It said I would rather not play the wide open snag route, and I'd rather just let him catch the ball. Shout out to zones in Madden 26. Trip shot in for Fancy. This should be the running back slide or the quarterback run. He's going to go to the quarterback run. I will say this quarterback run got a lot worse when they patched the air truck and some of the things that you could do from this. And really, more so, you're going to get this little slide route. We'll see if Fancy ends up going to this, but this kind of a combination right here is pretty standard, especially down in the red zone. It's one of the better combinations, just has a lot of answers for a lot of different coverages. And you see, you get a table, you get a slant, flat, in route, and then you're going to get this stemmed up route on the back end. And there's that slant, nice high point pass from Fancy, able to steer that in the back of the end zone. Those high points are so helpful for your red zone passing. And Fancy's going to jump into tight doubles. Might have a little bit of a money play down here for the red zone for us. Tight double is going to audible into bunch X nasty, and it's just going to be basic spacing switch. And it's not going to work, unfortunately. So Fancy going to opt to kick it deep here, basically because if he, he just opts to kick it deep. If he onsides, the problem is if he onsides, it's so easy for Abram to get into field goal range, and then it kind of puts him back into that 2-possession situation. So he's going to try to go ahead and get a full-fledged stop, and we'll see what ends up coming from this. We'll see Abram's going to start out with a 26 duo. Notice how just clean that 26 duo has been for him this game. He's just able to steer the run in, 2 or 3 different directions. Go left, go middle, go right. And we're going to see here, this is the first time we've seen this play all game, and I think he's going to check back to the run. So you see here's 26 duo. Fancy kind of trying to blow the run up and is able to do that. That's going to bring up a 3rd down and 10. Abram really hasn't been able to take a ton of time off the clock here, and now he's in a 3rd down situation where probably going to go ahead and go back to his basic passing. As you see the stem down post, stem down corner. You see there, the stem down corner won again on the man coverage. Only reason it's being played is because of the purple. But again, you're in cover 0, and you have a one-on-one with that route. And you see that is what can happen when you're on that pass. Is sometimes you can slightly mess it up. And if you slightly mess it up, bend it too much, it's going to be a bag. 4th down and 10, going to go to that same combination here, and he's going to set up a little bit more protection. And this time he's going to motion that running back out. He's going to run double streaks to the left, and he's got that corner route again. And that is, that's just been available. It's been available. If you're going to play man coverage in Madden 26, you better be prepared to stop a stem down corner route. And this is post patch. This is post the changes. This is in, these corner routes are basically working exactly as they've intended for them to work. And they're very consistent against man. Now, another factor in this is Fancy could be route committing to the inside. He could be doing some things like that. But 1st down and 10. And now you're really in clock mode right here. Like if you're able to get this. So you're going to see here, Fancy pretty much gave that up, but he could not get the completion. Abram could not get the completion on that route, even though it was wide open. And so now Abram going to jump into the play mesh, going to go post corner streak with a backside drag and a blocked running back, cover 2 on that left side. And this is really, honestly, the back and forth as you see him just kill him over the top with Travis Hunter. I want to show you something. So again, remember, one of the best ways to stop that RPO play has been to play cover 2 on this left side right here. So what you're going to get is he's going to play that cover 2. You get the streak to pull the deep half. That stem down corner gets over the top of a cover 2 zone. As you see, it gets over top. This is free, but also Fancy just goes crazy. Tries to blitz way too many people. You can't do that in this game. And it's just a free completion to Travis Hunter. Kind of a decision here, honestly. Do you go down? Do you kick it? But I think ultimately the answer is you go down so that you can take as much clock off as possible. Because either way, Fancy is going to need an onside kick, but you'd rather take as much time as possible before that. So I think that's why you see that there. He goes to inside zone. He's going to get blown up second. And then Fancy's going to choose to use those timeouts already. 2 minutes and 9 seconds here. You could honestly pass. Probably going to go ahead and run the ball again, though. And he's going to go down to that stretch out of bunch tight end. Fancy's going to commit to that RPO, and then he's going to do a really good job, honestly, of defending that. And now that's going to put him into a 3rd and 15. One of the things here is you definitely can pass this ball. You can definitely pass this and just take a sack. And it does look like Abram's just going to honestly concede it. Run the ball, take his 3, go up 2 possessions. The other big thing about this is he's up by 11. So even if Fancy scores a touchdown and goes for 2 and gets it, he has to score a touchdown, go for 2 and get it, and get a field goal all within a minute 59 and has no timeout. So obviously kind of a desperate position for Fancy to be in. Abram does a good job of kind of managing that clock and just kind of increasing the odds, increasing the likelihood of the fact that Fancy is just going to basically run out of time. And, Abram's going to be able to be victorious. Abram going to jump into 1-4-6 here. Play a little bit more bend but don't break. We'll see what he ends up going to with the defense here. It's going to just be basic cover 4. Looks like those flats are zone drop to 30 yards. And just going to basically play a little bit but don't break defense. Try to keep everything in front of him. Try to keep Fancy in bounds as much as possible. And Fancy's obviously goal is to try to get out of bounds as much as possible to move the ball field. But getting out of bounds, you're going to see Abram now going to go to a little bit of pressure here on a crossfire. He's going to send forward. We'll see if he's able to come in. The blitz angle didn't even work. And there's Jonathan Taylor catching that, getting upfield to about the 48-yard line. And that's going to bring up a 1st down and 10, but the clock is ticking. Going to go with the contains on the outside. Again, kind of dumbed out the blitz angle. But notice how Abram, it's really intentional by Abram. Every pass that Fancy completes, it's in the middle of the field. Every single pass. And so he's able to just force, right, a little bit more clock to be able to be drained, as you see here. And then the other big issue with that is everything that Fancy throws kind of needs to be under 10 yards based on how Abram's playing defense. He's dropping those zone drops way back. He's got the deep zones going way back. Just gives himself a lot of support. And, here you're going to see this time Fancy takes that drag underneath. So one issue with that is those drags. You can rack catch them and get upfield, get out of bounds. That's going to bring up a 3rd down and 5. Minute and 4 seconds left. So you're kind of definitely in onside kick territory. So you not only need 7, which as you see, he's going to get himself a good position to score here. And, he's from the 3. You would think this is, now it's red zone D time. It's going to go to a send 6. Abrams sends pressure a lot down here in the red zone. Fancy kind of forces it, and that's going to do it. That's going to do it for Fancy's run. Abram able to take out Fancy in the MCS most feared elimination bracket. And also, really, both these guys kind of show different offenses that can be used at a high level to be able to win more games.